40,000 temples, prominent temples that were demolished during the Mughal period. 3 are extremely important. The Ram Mandir, because that's where Ram was born. Krishna Janmabhoomi Mandir, where Krishna was born. And Kashi Vishwanath temple, where Jyotirlings of Shiva, the 12 Jyotirlings, one of them was embedded there. So these 3 should be restored. Like Somnath temple was restored. And therefore, and that Somnath is also a Jyotirling, by the way. One of the 12. So therefore, the process was, the decision was taken. We will start with Ram Janmabhoomi, and then once that is over, we'll take the others. Now, this 1991 law passed by Parliament is in the way, so we've got to remove it. And I have already a petition now filed about a month ago, along with Satya Paul Sabharwal, who's been my intern, and now he's got a law degree, and I'm expecting he will become a great lawyer in the future. He also is partnering in this, and we have gone to the Supreme Court to make a provision by which I can, in the future, litigate for the purpose of freeing the land which is presently where Jama Masjid is standing.
Friends, welcome to the Virat Hindustan Sangam social media channels. As you know, today is another Sunday, and we have with us Dr. Subramanian Swamy talking to you on a new subject of the prospects of the rebuilding of the Kashi Vishwanath temple and the Mathura Janmabhoomi, Krishna Janmabhoomi temple. And Dr. Swamy has taken some steps last year in the courts, and some hearings have started this week. So he will tell us the significance and the prospects of building these 2 temples. So as you know, we have this Sunday program of Words of Wisdom, Gyan Ganga, which we started on Ram Navami Day last year. And today is the 102nd episode of this series. We also had the legal words of wisdom, and now we have started the last 4 episodes of Arth Gyan Ganga, economic words of wisdom. So our motto of educate and empower our people through the Virat Hindustan Sangam and create a new mindset, as Dr. Swamy has been explaining to our viewers. This is our motto. So Virat Hindustan Sangam takes great pride in welcoming you to today's show. As we all know, our 4 social media channels, that is Periscope on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. On these 4 channels, we beam this program live for our viewers, and we thank you for our support. Today being Holi, we also wish our viewers and VHS members happy Holi, a great celebration. सबको होली की शुभकामनाएं. तो इसी के साथ आज का हम कार्यक्रम शुरुआत करते हैं. We start this show and it will be over to Dr. Swamy to tell us the prospects of rebuilding the Gyanvapi Kashi Vishwanath Mandir and the Mathura Krishna Janmabhoomi Mandir and its significance and what step he has been taking, just as he was successful in the Ram Mandir issue through the courts. We look towards to him for guidance and his views on this, both new openings on these 2 important temples for Hindus. Over to Dr. Swamy. I thank our co-host Ramesh Swamy and Arvind Chaturvedi and our technical team led by Ashish Shetty, Vishal Mehta, Gadgi Rakesh, Tejas Mr. Ishwar Iyer and Swaminathan for their support to put the program together. Over to Dr. Swamy.
Thank you, Jagdish. Let me do a little background before I get into the meat of the matter. Sorry to use the word meat of the matter, into the centrality of the matter. There was this law which was brought into operation by the Narasimha Rao government when he wanted to ensure that Ram Mandir is built. He didn't, of course, it was not a publicly stated thing, but to friends like me, he used to be very frank that we must restore the Ram Mandir temple. But there was a fear created in the Congress party that, whoa, this will open the Pandora box. There are 40,000 temples which have been demolished, and then there will be chaos, there will be bloodshed, there will be communal riots. So to bring in some calmness, he brought in July 1991 an act in Parliament to say that that except for Ram Janmabhoomi temple, all religious institutions as they stood on 15th August 1947 cannot be disturbed. And no one can go to court to to justification or justiciable decisions on this matter. Nobody can say no, this temple has to be, it was demolished and this was built. Nothing. So they barred the inclusion of courts into any further dispute on the question of a temple or a masjid or so on, and said exception only one, and that is Ram Janmabhoomi. Now, at that time, my mind was, I was concentrating on the Ram Janmabhoomi matter. So I didn't pay attention to it, naturally, because I don't want to divert my attention. And once we got the Ram Mandir verdict, then what happened is that all the sadhus and sannyasis met, and all the prominent ones, and you can get this from Google, and they met in Haridwar on the 5th of March 2020, just before the corona, and came to the conclusion that now we must move towards liberating the Kashi VIshwanath temple complex, where a masjid stands after demolishing a mandir. And they came to the conclusion that the commander and chief of this committee, which is called Shri Kashi Gyanvapi Mukti Yagya Samiti committee. This will be set up of all the prominent sadhus who had met in Haridwar, and they said that that I, Subramanian Swamy, shall be the chairman of it and will be called the commander of the Kashi VIshwanath Gyanvapi Mukti Yagya Samiti. And this is how it is there. You can go to Google and get this. Just type Subramanian Swamy and Gyanvapi Mukti, and you'll get it. You'll get it on your Google. Now, but then this corona came, and so I was concerned. How do we go about? We also decided we'll do it by legal means, because there's no point in having an agitation when, just like in Ram Mandir, if we can do it legally. So can I go to court again and get it done? And I found that this Narasimha Rao's act, which was brought in 1991, stands in the way, because the masjid, which is called Jama Masjid of Gyanvapi. Gyanvapi means knowledge, and Vapi means well. There is a well there, and that is called therefore Gyanvapi. And to identify the Kashi Vishwanath temple, it is connected with this well, because after the Aurangzeb's soldiers demolished the Kashi Vishwanath temple, they took the linga, and the pandits all quietly took the linga and put it in the well. And of course, after some time, the well has been sealed, so you can't, otherwise people are coming, looking and praying, and they were demanding a little bit of the water. So it became a big issue, and then the government decided to seal it. So today, if you go there, you will see the well, but you will not see anything more. And you will also see Nandi bull, which was always there for a Shiva temple, sitting there looking at the masjid. And that part where a part of the mandir was used to build the masjid. I don't know why. Maybe just to slight us. So this mandir, this was in 1696. And there's no need for documentation, because Aurangzeb issued a farman, written farman, that it must be demolished. And I was a little surprised why Aurangzeb, being a holy, a fanatic Muslim, why would he ask a masjid to be built on top of that temple? Yes, we could understand Babur, he came from Afghanistan, is a bit of a barbarian, but Aurangzeb was not a foreigner, because his father, his grandfather, they were all born in this country. So why did he do that? Because in the past, when Muhammad Ghori came, or other people came, and Mohd Ghazni, rather, not Ghori, they after they demolished it, we rebuilt it again. Our Maharajas went and rebuilt it. And so, therefore, Aurangzeb decided that nobody should rebuild it. So, therefore, on that very site where the Jyotirling stood, the masjid was built. Now, what is Jyotirling? Shiva himself sends through a ball of fire the linga to be placed. So, it is a faith, and it's a holy faith, and therefore it comes within the preamble of the Constitution, which is superior to everything. All the fundamental rights, everything superior to that is the preamble to the Constitution, which is placed before Article 1, which precedes the Constitution, but it's the part of the Constitution. And in that, you see, they say that it is inalienable right of the people if they have faith. Faith is not necessary that you must have proof. According to the Criminal Procedure Code, if a sizable number of people believe in something, then that is taken as granted. It can't be checked. If you believe that something is holy, and a large number of people believe it, then it is holy. You can't say, no, prove it, go to Supreme Court and prove that it is holy. So the people's view is very necessary. So the final effort was made by Ahilyabai Holkar, Rani of Indore, and she felt that if we build a temple by demolition, I mean, she could demolish it because by then they were in authority. Then again, the same cycle will come. So let this masjid be, and we will build another place nearby, a Kashi Vishwanath temple. So the temple that people visit when they go to Varanasi is not the original temple. It's a temple temporarily set up till a resolution takes place by mutual agreement, that kind of thing. And that has been continuing over the years. So now, in order for me to use court methods,
not agitation and things like that. That's not necessary. It will become confrontational. Of course, we may have a public meeting in Ramlila Maidan of all sadhus, sannyasis, Shankaracharyas, everybody invited. Had Corona not come, we would have had it this last December 2020 itself. But now, as soon as the Corona goes, we'll have a massive show of public strength through this committee, of which I am the chairman. Not that many people are happy about it, because Varanasi is where the Lok Sabha constituency of the Prime Minister is, and there has been all the bhaktas and the andhbhaktas and gandh bhaktas, all who spew filth and so on. They of Mr. Modi have been attacking us for many things, and then this will become another thing. But what can I do? This is God's work, Lord Shiva's work, and we have to do it. So before I get into the nitty-gritty of the matter, let me just say that Aurangzeb demolished it, and asked for a masjid to be built there. And he said, use whatever material you can from the mandir, so that nobody will save those things for a future occasion. And so part of the building, if you take the picture of where the masjid stands, it's called the Jama Masjid of Gyanvapi. And that masjid, there's a big portion where it is a part of the temple, which they have used. The sanctum sanctorum, you see, has been made into a drawing room of a sitting room of the masjid. So I have to remove Article 1991 or modify it. Now, if I get it struck down as unconstitutional, then 40,000 temples can be recovered. Then there's no bar. So I've given the Supreme Court in my petition a option that long back ago, when Swami Chinmayananda was there, respected man, and all the premier sadhus and sannyasis had met in Delhi, which led to the creation of the Ram Janmabhoomi movement, in which we said, when all the sadhu sannyasis resolved, that although there have been 40,000 temples which have been demolished, but these three are special. Ram Mandir, because Ram was born there. According to whom? According to the faith of the people. Krishna Janmabhoomi, because Krishna was born there. According to whom? Faith of the people. And Shiva himself set up the Jyotirling in Kashi VIshwanath temple. How do you know? Faith of the people. So faith of the people is in the preamble, and the faith of the people is not subject to proof. If a large number of people believe something, and it is subject to any restriction of morality, public order, and health. Aside from that, nothing can stand in the way. So therefore, I decided that I will file a petition in the Supreme Court to say either you strike down the Act 1991 as unconstitutional. Why? Because in the Constitution, there is something called Article 32, which says whenever your fundamental rights are taken away, or you think has been taken away, you can go directly to the Supreme Court. Of course, you can also go to the High Court. But High Court, you can go for fundamental rights and many other connected matters also. But exclusively, if your fundamental right has been snatched, then under Article 32, you can go to the Supreme Court against it. This Act says you can't go to the court at all. Now, how can an Act passed by Parliament amend the fundamental right of a person, which is given in the Constitution of India, and the power is given to the Supreme Court? How can it be abolished? So I've got a case to say that you are violating the basic structure of the Constitution. Why the basic there? In 1974, 73 onwards, when people became suspicious that Mrs. Gandhi is wanting to replace the constitution, and there was a Congress president called Barua. He said that we should declare Indira Gandhi as the Queen of India. So that means an amendment of the constitution, which has no provision for royalty. So there was a feeling amongst judges, and a sadhu from Kerala, he went and he filed a petition, not directly on this matter, but subsequent matter, but the Supreme Court converted that into consideration. Is there an unamendable part of the Constitution? You can amend every part. Yes, you can't amend fundamental rights. Then there is a core of sections of the Constitution which you can't amend. Can you amend away equality before the law? No. So therefore, the concept of basic structure of the Constitution came. You can't, and basic structure includes democracy, so that we cannot become a royalty even if Mrs. Gandhi wanted, or even Mr. Modi wanted, or Modi's Andhbhakts wanted. But the Constitution basic structure says rule of law, independence of Supreme Court, so on and so forth. It lists many things. And therefore, it is outrageous that a law passed by Parliament says, I can't approach the Supreme Court for the enforcement of my fundamental rights. If I believe as faith that I have to worship in Kashi Vishwanath where the Jyotirling was put up, that is my fundamental right to worship. It's not an ordinary right. If it is supposing somebody has started it, a lot of people start temples on the roadside and all that. That doesn't have that status that you can say, no, it can't be demolished. But, I mean, demolished according to law, not that any mob comes and demolishes it. So, therefore, I have told in my petition that this act which was passed by Parliament removed Ram Janmabhoomi from it as an exception. I am also ready to say, all right, this is a good act, but you also remove 2 more such temples which have been demolished and masjids built on it. One is Krishna Janmabhoomi and the other is Gyanvapi, Kashi Vishwanath temple. Now, here, why 3? Because a big conference took place of sadhus, sannyasis, RSS, Vishwanath Parishad, all of them, to declare the Ram Janmabhoomi movement. At that time, they said, where do we draw the line? And all the sadhus and sannyasis proposed that for us, these 3, which have been demolished, I mean, we got many others for Badrinath, Kedarnath, Kedarnath, Rameshwaram, so on. But these are not being demolished. So of the demolished temples, these 3 are special and they must be rebuilt. So on that basis, I have gone to the court that this is Kashi Vishwanath is part of my basic structure, is part of my faith, and therefore it should be restored. Either you restore it by making it an exception, or you allow me to restore it by abolishing this 1991 Act as unconstitutional. Now, I filed the petition, and that was in sometime in July of last year. And then what happened is that it was a time of the corona at that time. And then I think 4 months later, another petition was filed by one Ashwini Upadhyay. Now, it had 2 very high-powered, high fees charging lawyers, defending that petition in court. It was lying there in cold storage. And I don't know why it was necessary because Ashwini knew me, he also knew that I had filed this. It was all over the press that I had filed it. But anyway, it was not being listed, so it's okay. But suddenly one day I see in the newspaper that Mr. Ashwini Upadhyay's petition, which was 4 months later, and in terms of numbering, mine was 619 of 2020, and his was 1249 of 2020 was its number. So, in Supreme Court, everybody goes by numbers. So, therefore, this 1249 was put and this was not put. So, and then I decided that I will go to the court and tell them that this has happened. I'm sorry to say that there was a deliberate attempt, as it was done in the Ram Janmabhoomi case at the last minute. By the time I had, filed all my documents, etc., my matters were heard. On that basis, day-to-day hearing was held, and we were in the final hearing. And Mr. Amit Shah told our Solicitor General and some other Congress lawyers to say that I should be removed from this. That the Supreme Court didn't agree. They said, no, this is a suit matter, and he's only on fundamental rights, so he should go to another court. At the last minute, it would have never been heard at all if the fundamental right question was not there. And ultimately, the judgment was decided on faith, not that this property really belongs to Muslims or belongs to. But I said, doesn't matter anyway. Ram Mandir has been, we have won a victory, and the whole country knows the amount of efforts I put in. All the sadhus, sannyasis, everybody sent me greetings. It was good enough. Whether the Prime Minister recognized or not doesn't matter. Whether he calls me for foundation stone, doesn't matter. But here, I have a petition, and a later petition comes. It is listed, but mine is not listed along with it for hearing, which is the normal procedure. So you can see right at the top, it says in this 619 to 2020. But if you see the other one, it says 1249. Mine is dated 26/3/2021. His was called in on 12th March 2021, when mine should have also been called. So I must say, to the credit of the Chief Justice, he recognized the thing. And so it was listed before him. When I got up to speak, I said that although there is another petition which you have already considered and issued notice, but I'd like to bring to your attention that my petition was filed 4 months earlier, and it was not taken simultaneously. But then that's okay, some clerical error, whatever. We'll now proceed. And so Justice Bobde said immediately, yes, Dr. Swamy, we are also issuing a notice in your matter, and it will be listed according to the number. And that means I'll be listed first. It will be Subramanian Swamy versus the state of Union of India. And then, I don't know what else has been happening internally, but there is an upheaval in the Supreme Court that the Solicitor General and the law officers have been terrorizing the Registrar's office and the listing office, and ensuring that none of my petitions are listed. This is not the only one. There's Ram Setu. It's not getting listed. Ram Setu, the Chief Justice himself had said, come after 4 months. He said it on January 2020. And then Corona came. Then I gave it 2, 3, 4 months. Then I started going to the registry saying, and the Satya actually, who was a co-petitioner now, he kept going and saying, what happened to us? What happened? What happened? So he said, no, we are going to list. None of my other, there are many. I want to remove socialism and secularism from the preamble, because both are, Ambedkar has said, both of them are ideological principles, and we can't put it there in Soka. We have said equality of faith, that's good enough in the preamble. Why add secularism? But in the emergency, Mrs. Gandhi added secularism and socialism. Socialism now vanishing all over the world, but it is still there. in our constitution. So all those are pending, and therefore I had. I have now come to understand that there has been a concerted move to keep me from it. But now it's too late. Now the Supreme Court has cleared the air, and from 30th of April, the proceedings will start. But the government, which you can see in the order again, the government is the party. And therefore, they have to. If you go a little up in the screen with this order, you will see bottom. You will see the Union of India, the Solicitor General, Mr. Tushar Mehta's name will be there, and he was issued. The notice was issued to him, and he has to present an answer. What are they going to say? No. Kashi Vishwanath should not be considered. 1991 Act is justified. There will be a furor. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to enjoy it, and I'll keep you posted on it. So now let me get back to the main matter. What is it? Kashi Vishwanath Temple was set up after Lord Shiva in 12 places in the country. Sent through a ball of fire a lingam. Somnath is one of them. And there are different parts of India. Madhya Pradesh has 2 actually, and Nasik has 1, like that. 12 of them were implanted, and which a Shiva temple came into being. Of which 2 were destructed, 2 temples were destructed. One was Somnath, which has been rebuilt by Sardar Patel and company, and the one that is remaining is this one. Now, this is not an ordinary temple. This is Lord Shiva's directed temple, and it was demolished first and foremost by all these invaders who came, and then we rebuilt, and again it was demolished, again we rebuilt, and finally Aurangzeb came, and he said this one will not only be demolished, but on the same plot a masjid will be built. Now that's against Islam, by the way. But Aurangzeb probably thought he was above the Quran itself. I don't know. But the fact is that we have that Jyotirling, we have to take it out of that well, which is called Gyanvapi. Gyan, of course, is knowledge, and Vapi means well. So it's a well of knowledge. It's considered a holy place. Ganga comes as a subterranean way. Ganga comes and gives the well the water, and it's here pure water. But now you can't get it because it's sealed. So therefore, this question that yes, we have to build, I would try to persuade the Hindu Muslim community to say that don't be, obstacle. Don't put obstacles. Why? Because masjids, except 3 masjids in the whole world, Makkah, Medina, Al-Aqsa. These 3 mosques are holy. All other mosques in every other part of the world, including every part of India, are actually places to read namaz. And namaz can be read anywhere, on the street. You have seen them on the road. You can read namaz in airport. There are some special enclosures created for them. You can read namaz in your drawing room. All you do, put a chatai, and then you do 5 times a day. You can do namaz. So namaz can be read anywhere, and for a community purpose, a masjid is built. So there is no unholy, it is not anti-Islam with concurrence to shift a masjid. And there are countries which demolish masjids. For instance, Turkey just demolished so many masjids. Saudi Arabia, they demolished a masjid which was built on the direction of Prophet Muhammad himself in Makkah. And when UNESCO protested to the Saudi Arabian government, they said, are you teaching us idol worship again? A masjid is a masjid. Whoever, even if Muhammad has ordered it should be done. Yes, Makkah, because it was expected that Allah and their God was manifest there and Muhammad saw it. In Medina, the same issues there. In Al-Aqsa, when Muhammad had to depart, so mullahs were standing there. Al-Aqsa, by the way, is in Israel, and it was built actually by demolishing Solomon Temple, I think. But anyway, there was a rock there, and on the rock Muhammad stood with his horse, and then they both went up to heaven there. That's a belief. So it is considered as sacred. Al-Aqsa, the Muslims will fight to the last Muslim if necessary, but they will not yield on it. And I think they have a case for that. I think it's a question of the Israelis and the Muslim community working it out amongst themselves. I will not make any comment on that. Or I will not make any comment on Makkah. I will not make any comment on Medina. But all other masjids are being demolished. You want proof? Go to Google and say number of masjids being demolished in Saudi Arabia, in Turkey, in Qatar. Just give all the Muslim countries' name, and Google will give you all the list. In fact, the present president of Erdogan, or whatever his name is in Turkey, he has given a public statement when he built a highway and demolished all the masjids on the way. So some of the mullahs said no, because they were getting their earnings and all that from those masjids, naturally protested. So he said, highways are more important for Turkey than masjids being on a particular place. I'll build it in another place. Our own Supreme Court, 1994, Ismail Faruqi versus the Union of India, has said on paragraph 85, masjid is not an essential part of Islamic religion. It can be shifted. It can, of course, in an authorized way. It can be shifted. It can be demolished. And it has been going on during when the British were in India without any protest. So therefore, the masjid can be shifted, no problem. I mean, by theology. I mean, just because I am a owner of this masjid, then you can't. मेरा छाती 56 inches है, मुझे नहीं छू सकते कोई नमाज पढ़ने वाला कहेगा नहीं. Sorry, that is not law. Law is that masjids can be shifted. We'll give you another place. In fact, the masjid that's going to be built in Faizabad, which is now called the Ayodhya district, is going to be a wonderful one, brand new, superb, and the government is given generous donations. We'll find another place. And this has to be Kashi VIshwanath temple with the Jyotirling replaced there, and you will get a thank you from the Nandi, which is sitting there and waiting for this to happen. And the time for it has come. So I have, through this petition of mine, I will tell the court, if you don't want to create chaos, then just include Kashi VIshwanath and Krishna Janmabhoomi Mathura as two more exceptions on the grounds that there is a question of faith involved in that. It's not just a place to go and pray. Incidentally, why is the temple so holy for us? Not essential, but holy. Because when the murti is put there, the pujaris, the priests sit for 41 days of fasting and pray so that God ultimately comes into the murti. Why do we go to the temple? Because we believe God is there. He can see us. We may not be able to see him. So that is the faith of that. But the God is coming because of your prayer. It's not because he was born there, or he made a special effort to build it. So masjids are all holy in the sense that after prana pratishtha puja has been done, which is a very tough puja, we believe that the idol becomes the residence of the true God. And when you go and pray there, God is looking at you, but you can't see him. That's the only difference. That's why we all go to mandirs, not because we want to see the murti, but because we want God to see us, and and hear our plea if you want to make a plea to him. So, what is the legal position according to the Constitution bench of the Supreme Court? Not only once in 1994. This matter was raised when we had this Ram Janmabhoomi case being heard in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court was forced to stop the proceedings for a brief while till a constitutional bench was constituted to re-examine whether a masjid is nothing but a building to read namaz, and it can be shifted, it can be demolished in an authorized way. And again in 2008, 5 judges of the Supreme Court said, yes, that 1994 judgment still is valid and is only about the fact that the masjid cannot be unauthorizedly or by a mob demolished, but by mutual agreement can be shifted. So all I have to do now is to remove the bar. And the bar I can remove as by striking down the whole act. What do I have to say to the court? Article 932 is so fundamental. It is your power to hear my petition when my fundamental rights have been taken away. There are other sections also like 142 and all. I won't go into that. But 32 is a fundamental right, and nothing can amend 32. An act passed in the Supreme Court, act passed in the Parliament cannot take away Article 32. So if I have 32, then I can go for judicial review of whether a masjid should stay or not, as I did in what was my contribution in the Ram Mandir. It was this, that no hearing was taking place because it was a property dispute. The Muslims said this is Waqf property. They didn't say this is our masjid, by the way, because they know that masjid is nothing in Islamic law. But the land is Waqf property, and that cannot be taken away from us. That was their argument. What did the Hindus argue? We are the trustees of the Ram Mandir, or descendants of the trustees, and the masjid has been the mandir has been demolished, and therefore it should be given to us to rebuild the temple. They didn't say this is a sacred place where Ram was born and all that. That I brought as a fundamental right. It is my faith and faith of millions and millions of Hindus that Ram was born there. You can't question it. There's no other place Ram was born. So therefore, on that basis of my fundamental rights, you have to give it. And that's how the case was opened. Then I asked for day-to-day hearing, and then the arguments took place. And we won the case. Not on the basis that it is a property of this or the property of that. So I am going to court to say that it is my faith that Shiva planted the Jyotirling in that place, and it is in that very place the temple has to build. Masjid can be built anywhere. Let the Muslim community take it anywhere. I would like the Muslim community to be cooperative. After all, we have withstood and we bore the shame of Aurangzeb's people coming and demolishing our temple. For no reason. What harm does the temple do to Aurangzeb? Just to teach Hindus a lesson. He did it. Well, we Hindus have not disappeared. In Iran, the Islam went to Iran, and in 15 years, everybody became a Muslim in Iran. And same thing in Mesopotamia and Babylon, that is now called Iraq. Same thing in Egypt. In 50 years, everybody became Christian in Europe. India is the only country after 600 years of the Muslim rule and 200 years of the Christian rule through the British. still you are 82% Hindus. And so we have borne this, we have seen this, we have wept about it, but in this matter, will not yield. And we'll do it legally. And we don't want to use force because this is a democracy and everything should be by arguments. And I am quite serious that if we win in the court, the Muslim community will accept it. People told me Ram Janmabhoomi, they won't accept it, but they have accepted it. I appreciate the Muslims of India. They didn't make an issue at all. They didn't raise any questions that the judges were numerically more in number of Hindus, you should be equal of Muslims. Nothing. And so it's a great, I appreciate that. And the same way, these two temples. Krishna Janmabhoomi, same thing. First Gauri came, Ghazni came, demolished it. Then finally, who came? Aurangzeb. And he saw this, he said, what is this? Demolish it. He issued a farman. And then, of course, in Krishna Janmabhoomi, there's a little complication that in the 1980s, a trust was formed with the Dalmias and Birlas, and they negotiated with the Muslims who were occupying the masjid, and came to an agreement that we will have one part a temple, another part you have your masjid. But the problem with that arrangement is that where the masjid is, below it is where Krishna was born. And where we have built the temple, that has nothing to do with where Krishna was born. So that agreement is not valid. And I'll come to that later. But right now, I'm waiting for this April 30th to see what the government gives. Government people get irritated when I criticize them. You went and occupied took over all the temples of Uttarakhand. With what face we can say that we are against the temples in government hands? Now in our manifesto we are saying no, temples should not be in government hands. It is in your hands. Leave it now. Prove your bona fides. So I'm a member of the party. We all want the party to grow, but it has to be grown on credibility, on honesty, straightforwardness. Mean what you say what you mean. So when I'm fighting this, what am I fighting for? I get nothing out of it. Ram Mandir was achieved, but I got nothing out of it in the sense that I didn't ask for anything. Just that I feel vindicated that yes, we were what 500 years of Hindus could not do. We finally did it. God rest their souls. So it is in that context, you see, I'm doing this, and I've got many more other things, because the Hindus are being the only people who have been put upon for so many years, and to go through so much, pain and so on. But we want to forget it. But certain things we can't let go. And Kashi Vishwanath and Krishna Janmabhoomi, I can't find another place for it. There's only one place where the Jyotirling is, only one place where Krishna was born, and therefore they have to be temples for the bhaktas of these gods. And we will do it through the court. I've made a major breakthrough. Now I hope that all the Solicitor General and the government lawyers have sense not to try and block me. They did it in Ram Janmabhoomi, but they did it at a very late stage. And didn't matter also. But now, at least they should not come in my way. And I'm also waiting for the Prime Minister to agree to declare Ram Setu as a national heritage monument. I saved it by court case. Nobody else could do it. In fact, if I had not come, it would have been demolished. They had put RDX, everything on the bridge to blow it up. And but fortunately, Ashok Singhal came to me and pleaded with me that I should go. And what I thought was impossible, I managed to get it. I got a stay order, and then we had an argument. We had pleadings, and after a 2-year period, we won the case. And now Ram Setu is safe, and I have to thank Gadkari that he got a statement issued to the Supreme Court that we will not touch Ram Setu no matter what happens. So it is in this background, this court case is very important, and I keep you posted as we proceed further. So if Jagdish, Arvind and Ramesh have any questions, I'd be happy to answer it.
Yeah, Dr. Swamy, मैं आपसे हिंदी में प्रश्न पूछना चाहूंगा। एक बहुत बड़ा डिस्टर्बिंग फैक्ट जो आपने बताया, वो बताया कि जो न्यायालय है, न्यायालय की जो रजिस्ट्री है, उसके अंदर कुछ खेल चल रहा है।
हाँ, चल रहा है। और
ये खेल जो चल रहा है, उसका एकमात्र उद्देश्य ये दिखाई देता है कि किसी प्रकार जनहित की कोई भी याचिका यदि आप न्यायालय में लेकर जा रहे हैं, तो उस याचिका का श्रेय आपको नहीं मिले, श्रेय किसी और को मिल जाए, इसके लिए ये खेल ऐसा प्रतीत होता है बाहर से। और जो आपने साक्ष्य गवाही एविडेंस आज प्रस्तुत किया है कि आपका जो पिटीशन था 619 नंबर, और जो बाद में जो पिटीशन आया अश्विनी उपाध्याय का 1246 नंबर, उसको पहले सुन लिया गया, अखबार में प्रसारित, टेलीविजन पे, चैनलों पर, सब पे आ गया। मतलब ये क्या एक षड्यंत्र है? और ये षड्यंत्र क्यों है? कौन सी ऐसी ताकतें हैं, यदि आप उन्हें चिन्हित करना चाहते हो, जनता को बताना चाहते हो कि कौन सी ताकतें हैं जो इस प्रकार का श्रेय आपको नहीं देना चाहती?
ये तो मेरी प्रधानमंत्री की अनुमति नहीं होती तो नहीं हो सकता था, और हुआ है। अब इसमें नहीं, अन्य चीज़ों में भी हुआ है। और आपको तो पता ही है कि छोटी छोटी बातों में मुझे लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं किसी के दिमाग में ये हो गई है, इसमें कोई आधार नहीं है कि मैं एक विकल्प हूँ और हिंदुत्व के नाम पर एक मोहर लग गई है मेरे ऊपर कि मैं हिंदुत्व के लिए लड़ने वाला हूँ, और इससे कि कहीं ना कहीं शक्ति को बांटना पड़े, एकमात्र व्यक्ति का शक्ति एकमात्र व्यक्ति का ना हो, परंतु और भी उसमें भाग लेने वाले हैं। तो मैं नहीं जानता, परंतु इतना जरूर है कि मुझे पता है यही हुआ है। ये तो आपने अब सामने सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने मैं खुद रियलाइज किया, इसीलिए मुझसे बहस भी नहीं कराया। मैंने जैसा कहा कि मेरा पहले था, बट इसको वो लिया नहीं गया। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने तुरंत कह दिया, डॉक्टर स्वामी वी आर इशूइंग नोटिस, वी अंडरस्टैंड। तो ये जो है, और ये सिर्फ मुझे रोकने के लिए नहीं है, ये तो एक बड़ा मुद्दा है, परंतु किस पिटीशन को रखना है, किस पिटीशन को यानी किसी नुक्स कहकर उसको डिले करा देना, ये सारी चीज़ें चल रही है और ये पहले भी चलती थी। बट मैं तो समझता हूँ कि आपने सरकार में होते हुए ये नहीं चलना चाहिए। कांग्रेस में चली, ये कोई आज कारण नहीं बन सकता। तो इतने 6-7 साल हो गए हैं कांग्रेस को गई है, इसीलिए तो गई है ये सारी कुकर्म के कारण। लेकिन आज मैं यही कहूँगा कि आपके सवाल के उत्तर में कि हाँ, मुझे कहीं प्रसारित नहीं होना है। आप देखिए कि आज मैं परसों मेरी ये यानी जब हुई थी फ्राइडे को, सैटरडे के पेपर में कहीं जिक्र है दिल्ली में? एक भी नहीं। सब पेपर्स को टेलीफोन करके हुई, प्राइम मिनिस्टर के जो पीएमओ में वो हिरेन जोशी है, उसने सब पुलिस अखबार वालों को फ़ोन करके कहा कि स्वामी का ये छाप नहीं सकते। यानी बड़े बड़े जो मैगजीन में आता ही नहीं है, जैसे लॉ रिव्यू, ये वो सब ने इसका प्रसार किया और यानी इस खबर को छापा। बट दिल्ली के अखबार में और टेलीविज़न में कहीं भी नहीं आया, क्योंकि ये हमें पब्लिसिटी नहीं मिलनी चाहिए, इसकी चल रही है। हमें बुरा नहीं है, क्योंकि भगवान मेरे साथ है, तो ये क्या है, तो रोक नहीं सके अभी तक। और विराट हिंदुस्तान संगम है, वो भी अपना प्रचार मंडली से पूरा इसकी पब्लिसिटी कर दी है, तो पर्याप्त है। अब तो सबको पता है ये अब आगे इस प्रकार के कुकर्म चलेंगे नहीं।
Others.
डॉक्टर स्वामी, एक सवाल सामने आपका है यहाँ, और इसमें आपने जो रिट petition which you have filed, the main party is the Union of India, and as you rightly mentioned, the Solicitor General or the law officers of the government will have to respond to your petition. So we are, as you mentioned, we all look forward to see what the government and the Prime Minister is going to respond to your petition. So the question was, cannot the government suo moto say that we agree to Dr. Swamy's petition, because they have to respond. They are the only party to the petition and they have to respond. So all this Andhbhakta and Gandhbhakta, we want to see what will they now say when the petition and the legal officer appears for the government. They will be really on test now. And just now our friend is displaying the order. You have appeared with our team, VHS members and supporters, for your petition, and for the respondent it was Tushar Mehta and we are Balram Das. So we want, now the government is on test. What is it going to say? Are they going to talk against the Kashi Vishwanath temple, which is a prime temple in the Prime Minister's constituency, or is it going to find some other way out to compromise issues of national interest and Hindu interest? I want to know whether you have any comment on this.
Well, I think it is Agri Pariksha for them, and if they oppose it, they will suffer heavily. Like in Uttarakhand thing, of course, the central government didn't do it, but without central government's permission, they could have done it. And there's so much chi going on there, and I think we can lose the election on that issue. So if this that too for Shiva, you see, is something special for the whole India, right from Kedarnath down to Rameshwaram. It is Shiva, and Shiva is the one who both rewards and as well as punishes. So if they want to do something against Shiva, let them know that they will suffer punishment.
Jagdish, you want to ask this question from a viewer?
No, I've already posed it to Dr. Swamy. The government will have to respond to this when they, if they are sincere.
Dr. Swamy, there is another question from a viewer. It says, can the Parliament not scrap the 1991 Places of Worship Act and also legislate the return of temple administration?
No, they can just say that the act passed by the Congress government is hereby withdrawn, and we seek its deletion. This is why it's a one-line, bill they have to bring, and it'll be over. They can even give an ordinance and remove it. So, yes, I'm saying that if they want to delay, they can say, okay, we'll argue the matter in court. But what will they argue? As Jagdish correctly says, what are you going to argue? No. This should remain, and there should be no further conversion of Krishna temple and or Kashi Vishwanath. They can't. I mean, it will have a huge negative impact. Of course, Vinashakali Viprit Buddhi, I can't do anything about that.
I have a supplementary question. What Ramesh said just now about the Parliament taking action against the Places of Worship Act 1991. Now we have seen in the very recent time 3 agriculture bills were passed, and on the agitation, government is willing to suspend them for 18 months.
Yes.
Can government suspend this Places of Worship Act for 2 years, and in the meantime take a decision about the Eidgah Shahi Masjid as well as Gyanvapi Masjid, and then this Places of Worship Act can be restored?
Dr. Swamy, before Arvind, you respond to Arvind, I don't know why Arvind is being so charitable and wanting the government to be given 2 years. In the cause of the Hindu, this act should be totally scrapped. Okay, Dr. Swamy, sorry for the interruption.
Yeah, he is an intellectual, no, so he does these things. So, well, I'll tell you, first of all, the farm acts have not yet been brought into effect because the rules have not been framed. And that's why I said make it in the rules that it won't apply to Punjab. And whichever state wants to have it applied, they can write to us. And all the BJP governments will write to us and then show how much agricultural prosperity has been achieved by the bill. Then automatically even the Punjab farmers will change it. Right now, there a lot of psychosis, fear, and all has been generated. I'm in favor of the Agricultural Reforms Act from the very beginning. But we are a democracy. You can't have people sitting on the road like this for now. I think 3 months, if I'm not wrong.
More than that.
More than that. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, and then many have died. They've been through horrible cold. Now they're going to go through a horrible heat. I don't think there is a certain humanism that has to accompany democracy. So that's another matter. As far as this is an act, you can have it abolished. That there's nothing to abolish. Just don't frame the rules for whatever time they gave, 2 years or 1 year or whatever. It won't be effective. Or you say, okay, well, it won't be affected. It won't be applied in Punjab. And rest of the states, whichever want to implement it, they can tell us and we'll implement it there. So there are many ways to do it. Ramesh, anything?
No, you've already covered the topic, Dr. Swamy. I just were talking about that Char Dham. What an immoral act. And the government has no moral standing to oppose you on any of these issues. They continue to do this with temerity, the absolute arrogance. That's all I can tell you, in the sense that we continue. I mean, the Hindus per se, the Hindutva bandwagon, which the whole foundation that you laid down, thanks to Ashok Singhal and all of this, the BJP benefited from it, but now that's being abandoned, put by the wayside. We have heard some news about happenings even in Odisha, but even though they now disclaim that they did not sell the land, but continuously you are the one who's fighting for it, but get blamed for it. I mean, be it even Tirupati temple, you are the one who's fighting for every right, but you're being blamed for it by everybody who don't even know what law is. They don't have facts in their hands. They continuously blame you. It is just ridiculous because at some point in time, they have to keep on doing this bhajan mandali. It has to stop at some point in time.
Correction. I'm not being blamed by everybody. I'm being blamed by a small minority who are being financed by somebody in the PMO. That's all. So it has no effect. So anyway, the thing is this, that in Uttarakhand, the most dangerous part of the act was that the treasury, all jewels, everything of temples, of these 52 or 53 temples, will be in the custody of the chief minister in perpetuity. I got that struck down. That's the only part that the High Court agreed to strike down. And then the High Court, I think they just lost nerve, in my opinion. And anyway, the judge was retiring the next day. I think he wanted a peaceful time. He did his best. And so now I've got the Supreme Court for the remaining issues, and saying that this is against the judgments of the
Sabhanayaka temple. Absolutely, they have no locus. It should have been struck out at the High Court level. It's absolutely wrong. It goes against the Supreme Court order of Sabhanayaka temple.
I know that. So this is the thing, and I think
Dr. Swamy, one other question. I'm sorry about it. There was a case filed by some nuisance person about this Mathura also, right? They just filed a frivolous case, and the court there kind of threw it out because of some technicality.
And this 1991 Act. See, you have to go first for that. That's why when I became the chairman of this committee of the sadhus and sannyasis. Yeah, and of course, there's one ticklish point to see. This is Kashi Vishwanath in Varanasi. Varanasi is where the prime ministers got elected. So if I manage to get this done, I'll be a hero in Varanasi. So maybe all his prime minister's men are getting nervous, that I'm sort of encroaching somewhere. But let them do it then. I will praise them. All the government has to say that we are withdrawing the 1991 Act, or we are amending the 1991 Act to include Kashi Vishwanath and Mathura. Then I'll give them credit. I'll say, yes, I always give credit. So I'll give them credit and say, okay, this is a great act they have done. But you can't cow me down. So that's the thing. Or, just cheat me out of my due.
Okay, that's it. Jagdish?
Just for the information of viewers, and Dr. Swamy has been campaigning for this, there was a chief minister of Gujarat who recommended to the then Prime Minister of India, Sardar Manmohan Singh, that the name of Ahmedabad city should be changed to Karnavati. But the same CM, when he came to Delhi, he forgot about it. I think he has to be reminded constantly, perhaps through such programs, that the name of Ahmedabad should be changed to Karnavati. Dr. Swamy, your comments.
No, I was going to stop you there. The same chief minister came to Delhi as prime minister because Manmohan Singh turned it down. Or rather, he didn't turn it down, just sat on it. It is still there in the prime minister's desk. So, as chief minister, Modi had recommended that the name should be changed to Karnavati, and the prime minister did not act okay it, and he put it in his desk drawer. So now all that Modi has to do is to clear it as prime minister, and it will be Karnavati, and it should be Karnavati. Not this Ahmad Shah Abdali or whatever his name is, whose name we have given it, the butcher. See. So Karnavati is the name. I'm glad that in Allahabad was made into Gyan because of the insistence of Yogi. Of course, as you remember, when Yogi became chief minister, I was the first visitor to go, and I gave him a set of names which should be changed. He said, "Pehle main firaq karunga, fir baad mein dekhta." Okay, I think we are 9 o'clock.
Okay, sir. Yeah.
Dr. Swamy.
Arvind, you are muted. Arvind, you are muted.
Dr. Swamy, कुछ लोगों की नजर में स्टेडियम का नामकरण करना ज्यादा महत्वपूर्ण है, कर्णावती के नाम इतना महत्वपूर्ण नहीं है। आपको पता है अभी हाल में एक बहुत बड़े स्टेडियम का नाम बदल के नरेंद्र मोदी स्टेडियम किया गया है और विश्व भर में इसका प्रचार किया गया क्योंकि वो क्रिकेट का सबसे बड़ा, सबसे विशाल स्टेडियम है हिंदुस्तान में और दुनिया में। तो कर्णावती के लिए सोचा जाएगा, पहले स्टेडियम ज्यादा महत्वपूर्ण है। कुछ लोगों का ये फैसला हो सकता है। डॉक्टर स्वामी, हम
नहीं, दिस इज नॉट कॉम्परेबल। ये इसमें तर्क में थोड़ा कमजोरी है आपका। जहाँ तक कर्णावती था, वो अहमदाबाद से कर्णावती करना था, पहले कर्णावती था, बट ये स्टेडियम में तो सरदार पटेल से नरेंद्र मोदी कर दिया। मैंने कहा था नरेंद्र मोदी ने किया, बट गुजरात की चमचागिरी के लिए तो रोकना चाहिए था।
Arvind,
Dr. Swamy, one other thing. Sorry, Arvind ji, just 1 second.
Yes, Ramesh.
Sir, Dr. Swamy, recently the president of the party, JP Nadda, said something about handing over the temple of these things. Are you aware of where that's coming from?
No, what is there to hand over? Just give it back to the trustees, the pujaris. In case of Sabanayaga, the Dikshitas were the ones who were managing the temple. And when the question was asked of me, I said, hand it over to them back. And that's what the Supreme Court did. The Dikshitas are now empowered. In the case of Padmanabhaswamy temple, they asked me Who shall we? We are convinced by your argument, they said. But please tell us who to restore this temple to. So I said the Travancore Raja and Rani. So they said, but we don't recognize them in the constitution. We have abolished all these titles and all that. So I said, maybe, but that family is the one that built it. But the court didn't agree. So that issue is now pending in the Supreme Court, which should have been by now been heard. It's already partly heard, but that also has been stopped to remove from the hands of the communists this Padmanabhaswamy temple.
Okay. Jagdish ji, I mean, Arvind ji, you can conclude. Thank you.
Okay. धन्यवाद डॉक्टर स्वामी आज की इस बहस के लिए। ये इतना एक महत्वपूर्ण मुद्दा है संपूर्ण हिंदू समाज के लिए। जैसा कि आपने उदाहरण दिया कि पूरे हिंदू समुदाय के लिए 3 पूजा स्थल हैं जो सर्वाधिक महत्वपूर्ण है, और अगर 3 में से एक के लिए कुछ फैसला होगा, दूसरे को नकार दिया जाएगा, तो ये एक तरह का न्याय होगा। आपने एक बहुत बड़ा महत्व का मुद्दा न्यायालय के समक्ष आप लेके आए हैं, और हम प्रार्थना करते हैं ईश्वर से कि आप न्यायालय में सफल हों और ईदगाह की शाही मस्जिद और ज्ञानवापी मस्जिद, जिनका जो पुराना स्थान है मंदिर का, यहाँ पर मंदिर का निर्माण हो। इस शुभकामनाओं के साथ आपको धन्यवाद देते हैं इस कार्यक्रम के लिए। और अच्छा तो ये होता कि शायद जिन लोगों के हाथों में इन मस्जिदों का प्रबंधन है वो स्वयं आगे आके भारत में एकता स्थापित करने के लिए इस तरह का प्रयास करते कि भाई ये 3 महत्वपूर्ण स्थान आप ले लीजिए और बाकी स्थानों के लिए कोई बहस और मुआवजे की जिम्मेदारी की गुंजाइश नहीं रहेगी। लेकिन शायद ऐसा होता तो इलाहाबाद, अगर ऐसा होता तो अयोध्या के लिए भी हमें न्यायालय की शरण नहीं लेनी पड़ती। किंतु जैसा नियम है हम न्यायालय की शरण में जाएंगे, न्यायालय पे हमें भरोसा है और हमें उम्मीद है कि आपका जो पिटीशन है सुप्रीम कोर्ट में, इस पर भी न्यायालय गौरपूर्वक विचार करेगी और सही फैसला लेगी। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद जगदीश शेट्टी जी, आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। रमेश स्वामी जी, पूरी टेक्निकल टीम आशीष शेट्टी के नेतृत्व में जो काम कर रही है, गडगी राकेश हैं, ईश्वर अय्यर हैं, तेजस हैं, स्वामीनाथन हैं, विशाल मेहता हैं, इन लोगों के सहयोग के कारण ही विराट हिंदुस्तान संगम का ये जो कार्यक्रम है अपने 102 अंक पूरे कर चुका है आज और अपनी ऊंचाई पर है। और साथ ही हमारा शनिवार का भी कार्यक्रम है। आज के बाद हम शनिवार को अर्थ ज्ञान गंगा में दोबारा मिलेंगे और अगले रविवार को 8 बजे भारतीय समय के अनुसार फिर सभी से एक नए विषय के साथ और डॉक्टर सुब्रमण्यम के स्वामी जी के साथ यहाँ पर उपस्थित होंगे। सबको होली की शुभकामनाएं, रंग भरी शुभकामनाएं। आप लोग होली के त्योहार को अच्छी तरह मनाएं और कोरोना का ख्याल रखते हुए अपना भी ख्याल रखें। नमस्कार, जय हिंद।